We are on. So,
Hi.
hi, Stacey. I'm so excited that we are here together. I know we've been talking about this Mama's Mingle that we were planning to do it live at your studio on Plantation Road, right?
Yeah.
I'm kind of sad in a sense, and I just have to be honest that I really wanted to experience this live. But we need to be real, right? We need to be real
Right.
with what's going on in the world. We just can't. So instead of being sad and in pain because we can't do it live, I think I love our innovation, and I love how we are just figuring out the solution to how we
Right.
can, right?
Right.
And so I think that there's a lot of times that in life that we go, oh, forget it, let's just not even try. And this is
Right.
one of those times that I kept knocking and tapping into my core to say, no, Elizabeth, this is something we're going to, I don't care if one person shows up. I know we already have one person signed up for this event, but what if we can help other people out there who are sitting at home like us, waiting? We're in this waiting process of like, when can we get back to life? So instead of waiting, what can we do? So I want you to introduce yourself, share with the mamas who you are, what you offer, and that some of the things that you feel you're going to share with us at the Mamas Mingle. So, and why they would want to come to hang with us. So you're on.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. First of all, thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me to do something so special and so wonderful. As we were talking earlier, what a wonderful time to be doing this. We're talking about the heart chakra, of course, governing the lungs, the only chakra that has this horizontal extension, which is out through the arms and in through the hands and the fingers. So I feel like this is wonderful. And like you said, this is a good time. Like, we are so grateful and so lucky to have the technology that we have, that we are not in complete and total isolation. Like, yes, physical distancing for sure, but certainly not social distancing, and that we can all still come together in this way. So thank you for doing this, and thank you for continuing to hold the space and pursuing this. So I'm glad you didn't, back out. We need this now more than ever, as we talked.
It's so funny. Just before you
and,
go,
as you know, go ahead.
We're lagging in times on the technology, but one of the things that I know that I mentioned to you, and we had already had planned for April to be Heart Chakra month, and the Heart Chakra, like you said, just has this extension to your hands. This whole pandemic, I have been saying in my personal meditation classes, and even my family and everyone in my clientele, like, right now we have to heal our hearts. We need to globally heal our hearts. We need to connect with our heart so we can globally connect with other people's hearts. We're all in pain. And one thing that I didn't think about until a few weeks ago of the grievance that we're going through. And so how ironic it is that we need to heal our hearts even prior to this, but now more than ever, because we're all in pain. And I know before we hit record, you and I were just talking about our body, how we've both experienced some pain within our body. And I know you kindly explained that to be anxiety. And maybe even a part of the grieving process. Do you want to share a little bit more on that?
For sure. Yeah. So as you and I were talking, like, a lot of times these mental emotional, well, almost all the times, these mental emotional, they manifest in the physical body. So, they show up in pain and cramps. Cramping is a sign of anxiety when we have muscle cramps or when we cramp up during exercise. So, and like you said, dealing with grief, we're all, and heartache, we're all dealing with grief, and we have to, it's really important for us to remember that healing is not linear. It's not like we just go through these stages of grief, even if we know what those stages are and we have a good intellect of what, you know, what to expect, to know that they're all interwoven and that we may be experiencing these emotionally, mentally, and physically on, you know, different days, different times. We could be feeling different, you know, going through these different stages at any given time. So it's really important to have that kindness and compassion for ourselves, that when we are feeling mentally, emotionally, or physically not our best, to meet those with kindness and compassion, but also meeting that same awareness with what does feel good. Where do you feel freedom or some openness in the body? Where do you feel some flexibility? Where do you feel some openness or some joy in the mental, emotional body? So to meet that same awareness. So we meet the awareness of pain or discomfort with kindness and compassion, but then we meet that feeling of openness and joy with gratitude. And we can share those grateful feelings, or those feelings of openness and joy, with those feelings of pain or discomfort. So it is the work of holistic practitioners, yogis, Reiki masters. We have a wise heart. The heart is not soft and sentimental. It's strong. It's the strongest muscle of the body. So it's our work to share this knowledge of the wise heart, that we can hold these complicated emotions, these complicated feelings, whether they're mental, emotional, or physical. We can hold them both at the same time. One of the most beautiful things, or the most beautiful gifts of grief, is when you're hurting and you share that hurt with someone, you receive more love. You're actually broken wide open, so you can receive more. So yes, you may be feeling the sadness, the despair, the loss, whatever it is, the heartbreak, but at the same time, your heart's broken wide open to let more love come in.
I love that. I so love that. And I think it's so true, especially for women, since we are our market here is the mamas, and mamas meaning like all women, not just women who are moms right now. We tend to take on the weight of the world, and we hold it in our heart. And I know I've had this conversation, and it is not a claim, but we've noticed women are getting breast cancer and heart issues much more than ever. And so if you look at that, and that falls, the heart chakra governs the breast and the lungs. And I know even myself, I've seen clients that have heartache, not heart disease, but heartache.
That's really real.
It's real. It's very real. And they've been hospitalized for it. So I think now more than ever, to bring the awareness to women, to say, number one, it's okay for you to grieve. It's okay for you to cry. It's okay for you to be angry. It's an emotion, and we need to move that emotion. We need to move that out of our body, because the more we suppress it and store it, it shows up, and it will continue to show up. And I know, like before, we were talking about trauma and how sometimes the trauma comes back into our lives from our past. And that just to know that if we don't heal it, or if we don't learn the tools to figure out what to do with it when it shows up, that's where it continues to manifest into something much worse, or that we can't control.
With trauma and any kind of mental emotional abuse or a mental emotional trauma, that emotions live across all time and space. So we may be having a physical manifestation of a trauma, but once we process it, and everything, like you said, the darkness can't be healed until we bring it to the light. So we can shove it down, we can shove it behind us. We shove it behind us for getting all these neck and shoulder issues. If we shove it down, of course, it's going to land in the hips. But once it's brought to light, sometimes what we're experiencing at that very moment is really something that was triggered from a long time ago. Like I just did an emotional journal rinsing the other day. My emotion was melancholy. And then as I processed the journal experience, the melancholy I was feeling was actually from childhood, was from when I was like 7 years old, and I felt melancholy because when I was 7, I played hooky from school and I was at home, but I felt like I was in trouble. And like you and I talked before, we both have German mothers, so I certainly wasn't getting coddled. I was made to feel like I didn't belong there, and I was doing something wrong. But then I also didn't want to be at school either because I didn't fit in. So the root of that then was, I'm not good enough for anything. I'm not good enough to be at home, and I'm not good enough to be at school. Mm-hmm. So like I said, it's really important for us to realize that even though we all have a right to our feelings, that's first and foremost, to absolutely give yourself absolute permission to feel whatever you're feeling. You're not crazy. As a matter of fact, you'd probably be crazy if you weren't feeling that. And to know that, I've lost my train of thought, but what you're experiencing, give yourself absolute permission to feel what you're feeling, but then to really process it, look at it, get like, okay, hello, here's anxiety again. What do you have to say today? Like, how are you presenting today? And where is this coming from? Right. So like you said, we kind of walk around with this protected heart. We kind of hunch over, we're protected, and it's really giving ourselves permission to open it up, because once we open it up and we share, we realize that we're not alone, that there's so many similar circumstances that and again, you and I just talked about that before we even hit record, like, oh my God, you're feeling that too, and there's really a nice, community, a nice, feeling of love and support when you share, and then you realize you're not alone. You're not alone.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's what's making this all that much better. We are able to process differently, and some days I'm up and you're not, and I can help lift you, or I'm not and you are, and there's no wrong. It's no one's worse off than another. It's all just where. And I think that especially as women, we need to realize when and where we can get nurtured, and when we can be the nurturer. So there's that whole rule of like, oh, just shove your feelings aside and just figure it out. That doesn't work anymore. And I think that's what we're bringing light to. And I'm really excited about the Mama's Mingle, because this month we're going to talk more about this. And I know you're going to show us some techniques on how to open up that heart and how to allow more love to fill up your body. And just, again, a tool to have in the toolbox, that they will be able to use it and implement it whenever and wherever they are in the days, the minutes, the moments, and the weeks and years to come. So even to teach it to our children or our family members. So I am so looking forward to that. So
me too.
I will let you hold off on sharing any more, because I know you are a wise woman and you have so much to share. And I thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we'll look forward to our next Mama's Mingle. I think it's just in another week or so. I will make sure that I will put the Eventbrite link to this video so they can sign up for that and learn more about you. In the meantime, do you want to share where you hang out and what you've been up to lately?
Yeah. Oh, I forgot that part. So I'm Stacey Chandler, yoga and meditation teacher. I'm an Ayurvedic and EFT practitioner, and I specialize in yoga psychology and yoga for mental health. I've got a background in studies of neuroscience and depth psychology. This is Hunter. He has been glued to my side since we hit hello or hit answer on the phone. He is a registered therapy dog. He is my total sidekick. Obviously, he's always by my side. Anyway, I have a studio out in Plantations called Shanti, Shala. And I'm really excited. I'm really honored that you invited me to be a part of this. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I'm excited, and I know that you have lots to share. So we align in that philosophy, and it's a beautiful thing. So I look forward to seeing you then, and hopefully all you mamas get on with us. We'll look forward to seeing you guys at the next Mama's Mingle at the end of April. I think it's April 28th. I might be wrong, but don't mark my words.
28th, yes, you're right.